I just wanted to start by saying I'm thrilled to be doing this today as the Healthcare Businesswomen's Association Honorable Mentor this year. I wanted to sit down with three WOTYs, Women of the Year from the last couple decades. But I think what makes this even cooler is that two of my mentors are on this call. I mean, Lynn Vos was one of my first bosses and someone I looked up to at Gross Townsend Frank Hoffman long before.
We got stories to tell about that.
Okay, you got some great stories. So that is really gratifying. And then Mary Stutts has been my client and colleague and a role model and mentor for a long time for me. And now vice versa, I think. She's going to co-moderate this conversation. Mary Stutts, the now CEO of HBA. And it's going to feature the latest WOTY, Reshema Kemps-Polanco, the 2015 WOTY, Denice Torres, and 2005 Lynn O'Connor Vos. I can't believe it's 20 years. You don't look like that could be possible.
Thank you so much.
Reshema is the EVP and Chief Commercial Officer of Novartis US. Denise is the former president of McNeil Consumer Healthcare, division of Johnson & Johnson. And Lynn led Gray Healthcare Group, a part of WPP, as CEO over 3 decades. All three really share with me and Mary a passion for reimagining the future of healthcare. But I wanted to ask one question of the three of you to start. What do you think the common denominator is for winning a WOTY and that connects the three of you? What do you think some of those factors are? And through that, what would you advise people to do to end up where you all ended up?
I'd love to take that because I'd like to talk about the two of them. I don't think anyone starts off or even at the end of the journey saying, I want to win the Woman of the Year. Because if I look at the people that have won, and I was just saying this to Resheema, you have like this amazing followership from people and people that you have inspired. I would bet my bank account that, Lynn, you're still getting those emails and the LinkedIn saying, you know what, Lynn, I talked to you whatever time period and you said da-da-da. And you know what? That changed my life. And I think that's the common thing. It is a passion for serving. I think it's a passion for definitely healthcare and medicine and people. I also think it's the ability to walk in someone else's shoes. And maybe that's because we've had our own losses or our own challenges. But I think there's something beautiful about being in service of in a very, very genuine, heartfelt way. Yeah, just building on that, I would say that we are so lucky to be part of this healthcare industry. An industry that you can be so passionate about. And I think the common theme with most of the WOTYs that I've met over the years is we're like gutsy people. We're willing to stand out on the ledge with people. We're willing to say, you know what? There's a problem out there. There's an opportunity out there and we can fix it. My world was communications and still communications, and Jim's world is communications. It is the backbone of trust in our industry. And when you look back at all of the WOTYs that have been on the podium, and I always think it's such a privilege to do that speech. I dug mine out last night just to see it again.
Yeah, thanks. It was a great read. I loved it.
Oh, thanks. You have the opportunity to say something, create a platform, and then do a victory lap and do that platform for the entire year. And I think most of the WOTYs, the wonderful women that have achieved this incredible recognition, have taken that on and continue to mentor and continue to lead. And you're right, Denise. I mean, people call, people stop by, you run into someone, and it's just an incredibly proud moment to say, you know, you're part of this fraternity of wonderful women who've made a difference in the industry. That's the common theme for me. It's guts. It wasn't easy back in the 2000s for a woman to step forward and be in charge. It wasn't easy, but it's certainly been a lot of fun. I love this industry.
I think courage is at the center of all of this. And I will tell you, I definitely identify with a huge sense of responsibility. To me, it wasn't just an acceptance speech, but as was stated here, it is a platform. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to speak to the times that you're living in. And knowing that you have an opportunity for women and men who are watching this in person and online to say, do I see myself reflected in those stories, that journey? And that was really my goal. And I say this because the ones that stood out for me, I've been going to this event for 20 years, and the ones that over 20 years that stood out for me were the ones where I said, that's me. I find myself in her story. And because of her, I can. And I wanted to be that for someone 10 years from now. I wanted someone to look back and remember to say, Reshema said this at a WOTY 10, 20 years ago. I didn't really know her, or maybe I did, and it stuck with me. And it changed how I thought about what I could do and what I could accomplish. So I think it is that. And I agree with you, Denise. Nobody wakes up and says, one day I'm going to be the WOTY. None of us woke up and said, one day we're going to be in these big positions, right? It's just a journey. But I think the red thread is that you have women who are highly courageous, who are invested in, and in return, they multiply their impact by investing in everyone around them, not just other women, men and women, right, to make things better. And they want to leave a legacy to their leadership imprint to say something was different because I was here and my team was here and we were here. Something will be different. And I think that's a shared trait of all of the WOTYs.
Yeah. And I want to just talk a little bit about, because it's great to hear the three of you talk about getting to where you are and your very intentional focus on it and remembering to focus on the people around you. But I want you to talk a little bit, and I'll start with you, Reshema, about the importance of nimbleness. And so people say pivot and being able to pivot, but to me, it's all nimbleness, because if you don't do it right, you're going to fall flat on your face. And so how were you able to stay nimble, stay on your feet, stay in the game, keep your head in the game when it looked like the rug was being pulled out from under you? Because that's what a lot of the women, when I'm out talking, that's what they're trying to understand. And some of those folks are in the midst of the rug being pulled out, or they feel it's coming or whatever. And your advice, and would love to hear all three of your perspective on nimbleness with the pivot.
So I love this question because, number one, I know people feel like right now the rug is being pulled out from underneath them, women. And I would submit to them, it is not. Look at the numbers. You look at the percentage of women who are now represented on boards. Now, we don't have enough female CEOs. I get that. But if you look at the pipeline, we've improved the pipeline dramatically. And if you look at the numbers coming out of college graduates, strong representation there. And so this is not the time to retreat and to become afraid. That's my first comment. In terms of nimbleness, here's a story that I didn't tell on stage. I'll tell you when I did feel like the rug was pulled underneath me. So I was at J&J. I had big president's job. I was running the cardiovascular business unit there, one of the largest ones. And I was also the president of Janssen Pharma, Puerto Rico. And when the pandemic hit, I lost my best friend to cancer, and Novartis came back to me, and said, we want you to come back and we want you to come and run and really turn around this oncology business. It just spoke to me. And I said on stage, it felt like a calling. I had to do it. And so I came over and I did it. 8 months into the role, I was part of this nudging about the importance of the U.S. because Victor and I were running the U.S. and we were peers. And we were just trying to demonstrate that in a global company, how important the U.S. market was and were we doing investing in it in the right way. And we decided to reorganize our entire enterprise globally. And we went from a business unit setup to a geographical setup. So that meant that it was no longer organized by oncology and pharma, but what I had thought and what was presented to me 8 months ago, where I left this great opportunity and great trajectory at J&J to come, looked dramatically different 8 months later. And did it feel personally like the rug had been pulled out? It did, if I'm honest. It did. Long story short, we led through, we reignited the business. My scope and scale got bigger than I had ever imagined. And then a year later, they asked me to step into the Chief Commercial Officer role, and I had the entire portfolio. Had that not happened, had I left, had I not been nimble, had I not been able to change my mindset, maybe I would have aborted the opportunity that was in front of me. And now who knows what's on the table? Since then, I've joined a corporate board, just embracing the opportunity and change and finding what it means for you. What's the upshot is my advice for people.
That's great.
Amazing story. Thank you for telling it so honestly and real. I think people will love that. So Denise, how about you?
Yeah, sure. One of the things from a career standpoint, and You can look on someone's LinkedIn profile and you go, oh, they did this, and it looks like it's this straight line. It's never that way. It is a series of ups and downs and mountains and caverns. And when we're in the low, we think we're never going to get out of the low. When we're in the high, we're like, king of the mountain. No, it doesn't last. The reality is, for many people listening to this, you may be a change agent. And you know what happens to change agents? You get put in tough situations. And they're the ones that are high risk. There's a couple things. One is keep going. Your mind is filled with a lot of different swear words, right? You keep going. We don't let that little girl voice, oh, you know what, I might fail, whatever. No, let's go, right? Let's go. Whatever you have to tell yourself or read. I think the second thing is, and I would encourage everyone, I don't care what job you're in, what company you're in, you know what you should be thinking about? Options. You never want to feel locked into anything. If it's the beginning of your career, the middle, the whatever, because, you know, a lot of people will retire from healthcare. You could have another 20 years of serving on boards, getting degrees, open your own consulting, whatever it is. Invest in yourself and don't rest on any laurels. Because like today, if you're not studying AI, you're going to be out of it, right? And so the idea of constantly building skills, trying new things, get out on that ice. Sure, it may crack and whatever, but you know, you can learn how to swim in really tough situations. But it does take some courage. Sure. Are you going to cry? Well, who the hell hasn't, right? Are you going to eat that ice cream in the freezer? Yes, but you will rise up.
That's great words of wisdom there, Denise. I would say I've been blessed and lucky to be in the advertising agency business. Jim can relate to this. Every day is a day of the fight, the victory, and the defeat, and the ability to create big ideas. And that's what drives you in the agency business. And it never mattered to us at GTFH. Our fearless leader, Alan Gross, just loved the fight, loved the shock and awe of clients that either bought our ideas or didn't. But the idea of having the rug pulled out from under you in the agency business, that's a daily, maybe even an hourly, because you win, you pitch, and you put your neck and ego and your entire life on the line almost daily. So that's what drives people that are in that business. They love the thrill of victory and they can handle the defeat. I'm not a golfer, but I think there's a great analogy with golf that it's a game of recovery. That's the best golfer out there. That's the best tennis player. It's not the one who can hit the shot every time and hit the goal. No, it's a game of recovery. And the best people who recover the best always excel. So when I think about the concept of even someone pulling the rug out, it's hard for me to relate to that because I'm always thinking, I think similar to what Denise and Reshema are saying, okay, what's next? What are the possibilities? Like, look at what's going on today right now in the industry. We were just on a board call 5 minutes ago. You know what? There's a lot of lemons out there. We can make some lemonade. There might be bigger opportunities right now as there were in 2005, quite frankly, when the trust was at the lowest possible ebb. It hasn't changed that much. But what do? We go back, we rekindle, we rebuild, and we come up with big ideas. And that's why we're here in this industry. We need to help the people who have health issues, and that's the driver. And so there's never a minute to kind of feel, oh, gee, maybe that didn't work out for me today. There's something else out there because the core capabilities that we have are so strong and needed.
Can I add one thing? I have to do this because you said something and I want to acknowledge something that you said is it hard? Yes. One of the passions I have is positive psychology. And last year I got a master's degree in the study of happiness. And I did it. I serve on a lot of different boards. And one of the reasons I did it is because I love culture and, as a means to achieving goals. But when you look at it, one of the things we don't do very well in general, but certainly as women, if we're raising children or not raising children, we might have responsibilities for our parents. The list goes on and on. We don't take care of ourselves. And so if we understand that we have our work and then we do have the job of taking care of ourselves, if we're not looking at things like our physical health, if we're not looking at whether or not we're intellectually stimulated, whether or not we're taking time to go out with friends, our relationships, then work is going to be doubly hard.
Let's stay with that. I wanted to ask, clearly family is central to the ethos of all of you as WOTYs. What are the other non-negotiable life factors that drive you? Religion, charity, citizenship, having fun, happiness. I mean, thanks, Denise, for taking us this direction. I want to get back to the existential threats to healthcare, but I know, Reshema, you talked about some of it, but I'll start with Lynn. In each of your speeches, this comes through. But what are the things that you just aren't going to ever compromise in this fight?
You have to start with family, and that's why we're here. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. You yourself, Jim, have had such a terrible tragedy this year, so maybe you'll talk about that too. I myself had lost my parents when I was very young. I lost my mom when I had a 3-year-old and 1-year-old twins. I lost 2 brothers. So I understand the whole feeling of loss. And I think now at my age and stage, it's really time to reflect even more so on the power of love and the power of people in my life that are so important. I think the other big driver, though, for me has always been, and I think it's the reason why I got the WOTY nomination to begin with, is nonprofit charity. When Kathy Giusti got multiple myeloma, I joined her and we started the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. And there were no drugs back then. And now there are several, and many people live a very long life with that disease. When my friend and client, Phil Satow, lost his son, Jed, to suicide, I joined him for lunch a week later and said, well, what are we going to do? Nobody even talked about suicide back then. People backed out of the room when I said, I'm starting a foundation with Phil Satow and his family. But again, like, how proud am I that that organization is 25 years in the making. We still have a huge problem in teenage suicide and college-age suicide. But that's why we're here. I think that the importance in life is to be able to contribute to society and give back and do it in a big way. So I'm always looking for high impact ways that we can use our talents to make a difference. I don't think that's ever going to stop. And I think those are the 2 important things. At the end of the day, you want to look back and say, did I do something for society? And I hope the answer is yes for most people.
You're here. Denise?
Well, I'm going to share with you what I learned, the drivers of happiness. And I wish I would have known more about this and been more disciplined when I was younger. But today, if you look at what drives happiness, it's called SPIRE. S is spiritual. Am I doing something that's meaningful? That could be work. It may be volunteering, but something that really, it touches you. Could be working with animals, but something you say, well, man, that feels good. Because you know what? When we give, we get. That is 100% certain. It always feels so good to give. P is our physical health. And, oftentimes we give that up. We're so busy. No, flexibility, mind-body connection. We have to take that time. I is intellectual stimulation. Sometimes we can over-index on that. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. But we only have so much energy. R is relationships and how we're invested in those relationships. And E is our emotional health. And sometimes we say, oh, I'm so miserable at work. And if we go through those, is it work? Or is it the combination of I'm really not happy with this? But if you go through that, you can deduce that, you know what, I'm just bored. I am bored. And I realized that where I had challenges before is when I let go of the P, the physical, or that if I just had too much anxiety in, oh my God, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Right? Because doesn't it feel like we're in these jobs and in our careers and it feels like this race and oh my gosh, am I going to get through? The beautiful thing is when we find this balance, the financial thing's real, right? But when we are able to find that balance and achieve some type of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you got to get that bottom rung, okay? But when we're able to feel that, I have to tell you, so for those people that are going, oh, wow, what am I going to do when I retire from corporate? I am having the freaking time of my life. I have done so many things. I got a master's degree. I've started businesses, been on 12 boards already. And I can't tell you how much fun I'm having. And you know what the number one reason is? I don't operate from fear anymore. And what a gift that is that I wish I could give other people.
Where did you get your master's, Denise?
Okay, it's a new program at Centenary, which is in New Jersey, and they're just starting the PhD program, which I will probably be the oldest person, but I am really thinking about doing the PhD so I could be the doctor of happiness.
I love it. Love it.
So what you guys probably don't know is that I had Denise actually come and speak to my group at a town hall about happiness. They loved it. They loved it.
And Reshema, your group was so on fire. So I want to return the compliment because you know how you get the feeling of a group when you walk in, like, hey, is this a good vibe? Or is this like, oh man, I got to sit and listen to this lady now. I walk in there and these people were like en fuego, and that was all Reshema. So you're amazing.
Oh, it's great. And it's interesting. I had just stepped into my new role, I believe, when we had that town hall, and we were really the team had gone through a huge reorganization, and we were starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We knew what we were in service of, and we wanted to like pour something into their well-being, right? Because you're so right. You can have all the big vision, you can work very hard, and you have all those things, but if you're not tending to your physical and emotional well-being, you're not really serving your teams. And so I try to spend a fair amount of time doing that, and that was really great. In terms of the question that you asked, Jim, for me, it's been faith, family, then career. And for me, it's been staying true to my values as a woman of faith. And so I love what you say about the spiritual, Denise. That's different for every person. But then my family, that is a hard stop for me around the type of mother that I wanted to be. I know the type of mother that I had. I know the type of mother she had. So I watched my grandmother. I watched my mother. I come from a family of very strong women, matriarchs of the family. And it is very important for me, for everybody to understand, no matter what job you're offering me, I am going to be the great mom first. I want to be a great mom and have a great career. And then people would say, oh, but they're little, they won't remember. And then the whole thing around, and I don't know who came up with this, but it's like urban legend to me, and it's not true. Oh, it's about the quality of time versus the quantity. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's quality when it matters. It's quantity when it matters. And I realized for me, it was about what I wanted to remember as their mother. Whether they remembered it or not, I want to be able to remember, because I read something, and it may have been on LinkedIn, that said, you only have 18 summers with your kids where they have to be with you. Because after they go to college or whatever, they may come home for the summer, they may not, but you can force them on vacation in summer with you because they live under your roof, right? Whether they like it or not, forced fun. But that was sobering to me. And so, what are you going to remember in the end, and what's going to matter most? And Lynn, you said it. So to me, that's been the hard stop. If there are boundaries that won't respect that, then it's not the right role or right job for me. And I'm okay with it.
A little bit on faith. I saw you and Wendy before you walked out. It looked like you were praying. I love that personally. I thought it was really incredible. And I know for me, having gone through the death of my wife this past year, and, after a couple years of illness, that's had a profound impact for me, is getting back to some faith and some higher power that makes you go on. And, what we talked about is that get on with it. You've got to, life goes on, and you have kids and family and all those things. It feels like that's the common denominator, knowing all of you. You're fierce moms. That's your core. So before I lose you, because I know you've got to run, I wanted to ask this question because, Lynn, you brought it up. The industry is facing several existential threats on multiple fronts. We know that. We see the headlines every day. What do you think life would be like if the U.S. pharma industry went out of existence as we know it? And how can female leadership change this course? What do you think, Reshema?
I'll tell you what life is like because of the industry. And then you can deduce what life would be like if we weren't there. And it's not just the industry, but it's as a catalyst in healthcare, because it's multifactorial, right? If you think about the 5-year survival rate in cancer and how much that's improved over the years. Now, we have a lot of work to do in certain cancers, pancreatic, liver, others. But if you look at breast cancer, prostate, I can go on and on. Multiple myeloma was talked about. Great strides. And the industry isn't done yet. And I've never seen such tenacity, maybe other than COVID, trying to eradicate the impact of COVID, where an entire healthcare ecosystem rallies and comes together at pace to basically save society. I see that same tenacity in the area of cancer research. And so that's one we can say something's different because the industry was here. Another one is cardiovascular disease and life expectancy and mortality. It is the number one killer of people today around the world. However, we are making strides. And if we could just do more around prevention, we would make even more strides. And so we need to be here and exist. And I would say in an area where we participate, multiple sclerosis, where there's also been great strides in the area of neuroscience, where how patients live and their quality of life has improved dramatically over the years, over the decades, with some of the medicines, including ours, that have come to market. And so you just have to imagine the answer to that is, what if we didn't exist? What would those numbers be? And we have a long way to go to close other health gaps in other disease areas as well.
Thanks. I mean, I know Novartis is focused on all those things, and that's what you do there. Lynn, what are your thoughts?
Just kind of laddering up, the pharmaceutical industry has done wonderful things, but I think there's so much more that we can do helping people, addressing them, addressing the healthcare disparities, and also addressing the messed up system that we have. I too have, my husband has had cancer for several years. Jim and I have shared many a story about getting access to better therapies faster. There's still so much room for improvement. And I would say right at this moment, I'm confident we're going to be able to survive some of this insanity with the tariffs and what have you. But I'd like to hear the voices of the CEOs speaking out right now and saying we're not going to tolerate this. It's just incredible, the silence we're hearing or not hearing. And I think it's the pharmaceutical industry that can make the biggest impact. We have the cash, we have the marketing, we have communication expertise, we have incredible executives. And so let's marry that great science, Reshema, that you brought up with incredible communication. I think that right now we need everybody in the boat and everybody speaking up to make sure that we preserve what we've developed to date and where we can go in the future.
This is our time. And we're up for it. And there's no scenario where women will no longer be the majority of the healthcare workforce. No scenario like this. That is not going to change. So the mobilizing all the voices and working together to say, no, we're not going to be quiet and let these things happen. I mean, this is where, and Jim and I have talked about it a little bit too. What can we do? What kind of cohesive approach, campaign, messaging? What is it that we need to do to mobilize all the people who get it? There are way more people who get it than don't, but getting the power of all those voices together, much like we had to do with COVID, by the way. That's when we started to really see the change. And COVID was when we brought all of those different voices together from all of the lifestyles and the ethnicities and all of that. And so this is a time where I think we need to do that again in an even broader way to address what is going to happen if we keep letting things go in the direction that they're going.
We should be the ones mobilizing because we are representing everyone. And when the women come, that's where the equity will come in, because we will amplify the voices of all people. I feel very passionate about this.
Before you leave, Reshema, I have two fun questions. If you're alone on a desert island, what album are you going to take?
I'm a huge Beyonce fan, let me tell you. And I'm looking forward to taking my daughter to Cowboy Carter. I heard it's a great concert.
And then the other one is, what's the best vacation you've ever taken?
I've been many places around the world, but my favorite place, my happy place, is Martha's Vineyard. You take the family, the whole extended family goes. It's amazing. It's a little piece of magic. I love it up there.
Beautiful. All right. Well, go have a great meeting. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Denise.
All right.
See you soon. All right, Denise, you don't get away without that question. Bring us back.
Yes. You know, something that, as all of us were talking, and if you think about all of the diseases and conditions, and one of the things we haven't talked about, we are an aging population. And if you look at the healthcare industry as one of the few industries that really understands what's behind doors in people's homes. And, you know, people told their stories. My dad is 91 and he has end-stage bladder cancer. My mom has dementia. I'm caregiver for both of them. My daughter has cerebral palsy, and I just lost my brother, who I was also a caregiver to. What I'm sharing with you is not unusual. No. It's that, you know, we are major caregivers, but what comes with that is that, yes, great caregiver. How do we, again, take care of ourselves? But going back to the question of, what would I like to see happen? And it's a little bit of what we lost. And it's the answer to the question, am I my brother's keeper? And if we stop caring about and stop loving, as Pollyanna as that sound, and going back to my happiness work, what's the point of all this? We know you can make a ton of money and you can die with a lot of money. And what was it for? I got a bigger car. Those are all very temporary things. So I do think that today, maybe this pain that we're feeling, and we are feeling pain. We're feeling pain globally, but we're pushing towards power. We're not pushing towards love, right? We haven't figured that out yet. You can be the hope. You can be the hope for the person in the grocery store that you smiled to, or the person that you went through McDonald's and gave an extra $5, or someone at Instacart, or someone like, hey, I can help you with that. And it amplifies.
How did WOTY change your trajectory, your approach, your perspective, how you did things? Or did you just keep business as usual? This one's particular to the two of you. How did it change things from 2005 on?
So starting with me, I guess, because I'm the 2005er.
Yeah.
For me, it was just a wonderful year. That year, we were Agency of the Year. We were acquired by WPP. The agency was on fire. I was named CEO when I was 36. That was pretty young.
Wow. Yeah.
And the year my mother died, so I was able to tell her before she died, which was pretty powerful. She was
That's
also
cool.
a really successful woman. What it changed is it just made the world look bigger. I think the importance and the significance, it was a platform, as I said. What I tried to do that next year was go around and speak to as many people as I possibly could. And then after that, we set up an annual event where all the Women of the Year got together every year prior to WOTY. I know they weren't able to do it this year, but we would have a dinner together and really kind of talk about and pass the baton and say, again, the significance and the power of having that position to be able to influence that many women and that many people in the industry was quite powerful and humbling. That's what it's done for me. And I think Denise said this in the beginning of the conversation. It's just so amazing how people will walk up to you and remember something you said that day. My platform there was, we've got to bring the trust back in the industry, and people still remember it. So, there's incredible opportunity to influence others, create mentorships, help people. And my most proud moment, I think right now where I sit, is looking at the number of people, and Jim, this goes back to starting with you at GTFH when you joined the agency by storm. And it's just like, wow, like that's what you want to think about, that you made an impact on people's careers. And those people are so powerful, like yourself, just an out of the box thinker, no boundaries, ability to create anything. That's what gets you up in the morning. So, I'm so happy that you invited me, Jim, and I just am also so blown away by your success in your career. It's been incredible.
Thanks. It's a great opportunity to say thank you to you, Lynn. GTFH was absolutely the model that I looked at when I created what has become Real Chemistry. It was my formative experience, and your guts and your straightforwardness is something I know I've gotten knocked around about, and the other person that shared it was my prior mentor, Beverly Simons, who you know from the PR world. But what you created there, it's just something I just want to say thanks. That's really it.
You.
But you can't get away without answering this question. What's the album that you're going to take on a desert island?
I don't know. You know what? I listen to so much stuff. I guess if I had to pick one, it's probably Stevie Nicks' Greatest Hits.
Good one. Great one.
Because who doesn't love Landslide, right? It's like my love and a ticket down. Okay, yes, I got me right.
Well, we played that at my wife's funeral, so I totally get it.
Right? Well, I saw her in concert I don't know, 8 years ago. There she was. She's getting older. Man, she's still spinning around in that dress and everything. Like, man, you are so
cool. I saw her in San Francisco.
Right?
Amazing.
Right? So cool. And then, my favorite vacation. I've had some that were amazing. This was before our daughter was born, but it had to be where Sierra's name came from, which was doing a mountaineering trip where I'd never done mountaineering in my life. And so it was in the Sierra Mountains, and that's where Sierra's name comes from.
That's great.
Awesome.
I like all genres of music, but one that I've been listening to a lot is CeCe Winans, and she has been around so long.
Yes.
And has been doing this for, I don't know, probably 40 years. And the fact that She now has new albums coming out that are going to the top of the chart
That's cool.
now, as much as she did when she was singing with her brother years ago. So that's one that I'm really listening to a lot just because of what's going on. This whole idea of the balanced optimism and staying positive and hopeful. But I like Prince. I like Michael Jackson. I like to dance.
Oh, yeah. Favorite vacation?
My favorite vacation is actually Mexico. I love going to Mexico, and I love the food. I love the dancing. I like just the ambiance. I just love going there.
Lynn, how about you?
I love to dance, and my favorite person in the world is Stevie Wonder. So Songs in the Key of Life and Knocks Me Off My Feet is probably my favorite song, but his music just speaks to me, and it's just so much fun. So that's my album.
And your vacation?
My vacation, it's so hard to pick. But I think I'm a tennis fanatic. I don't know if you've heard that, but I go to all the tennis. And the Australian, I'd been a few times because we had an office there, so it was so convenient to be able to visit the office in January. So yeah, taking the road south from Melbourne along the sea there and seeing the seven apostles in the ocean and the kangaroos and what have you, I think Australia is quite beautiful.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Incredible. I've never been. I want
one
to
of
go.
my favorites. I can't say it's the favorite, but it's one of those ones that you wake up in the morning, you can visualize that. Yeah.
Those are two of our newest chapters in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to
really
go have our
neat.
big celebration there. So
Well, I'd say, Mary, your biggest impact too has been getting us, the HBA more international. So good for
yeah. So I'll tell you when we do Australia, Jim, so you can go too. Because I've never been to Australia either.
I want to go. I'll go anywhere with you, and I always
Yeah.
make it fun, Mary. I
That's
earn
so
my
great.
I earn my trip.
So Jim, tell us what it meant to be an honorable mentor.
Well, I mean, what I can tell you is I think it really was a complete surprise. And I think, like all of you, you don't really think what you do by muscle memory. I think, Lynn, you would never say, oh, I was a mentor to Jim White. I don't think you would know that per se. And you probably wouldn't say it because you don't know it when you're just in the grind. And that's what all of you have been. You're in the grind. You just keep going and you keep adding to the list of things that you accomplish and do and make happen. And I think that's how I see it. It's just, to me, it raised the bar even more. What's the point of going down, right? Let's just keep climbing up. There's more people to impact. So then I decided this past week when I came back, speaking of impact, I went ahead and texted some of the political folks that I know because we got to get them to understand what we do for the world.
I'm in if you need a volunteer there.
Yes, no, we'll do more of it. And today was very motivating. And I think that really the HBA is uniquely suited to really show many who just may not understand it, the impact healthcare and pharma can make in a positive way in the world. Denise, by the way, just such a great time talking to you. I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel happier.
I want to get that degree in happiness right
I
now.
already feel happier,
right?
which is
I
so
love
thanks.
it.
By the way, Denise, I found an email I sent to you the day after your speech.
Oh, my gosh. That's
Oh.
a trip.
How
Is that
cool
funny?
that?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It says, you want me to read it to you? Denise, I'm
Yeah.
still smiling.
Oh, my
Your
God.
speech was absolutely fabulous. And I've got to say, you really are a badass.
Oh,
Your story
That
and
is-
journey,
Oh.
overcoming major hurdles, always reaching, never seeing boundaries, has clearly made an exceptional leader out of you and a wonderful human being.
oh,
Thank you for sharing your boundless optimism with all of us today, which it was. I can still remember.
Lynn, that's so
And
nice.
all the best to you on your victory lap next
Oh.
week.
Oh, wow. How
Still
cool
Isn't that
in it.
funny?
That's a great note.
That's
Yeah.
so nice to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. And thank you for letting me into your world. I feel very honored. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on the Get Real podcast. I hope you feel a little healthier hanging out with me. It's going to be a lot of fun passing this along to others. Please subscribe below. Please share. I'm excited not just to talk about healthcare, but a lot of other fun topics. It's about making healthy talk about healthcare. It's not a lecture. This is supposed to be fun, and look forward to spending more time with you in the future.